All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we are on Elimination Method day 2. We're starting off with one question, though, trying to get you thinking a little bit more like the coin problems from yesterday, meaning we only have to change one equation. So look at your x's, please. If you notice, the x's are already opposite and the y's are already opposite, so that's good news. Looking at our x's, we have to decide what can they both become. 14 and 7 can both become a 14. What can our 7 and our 5 become? They can both become 35. Now, between the two numbers, obviously 14 is a little bit less, so that's the better choice, but it's even better that I only have to change the bottom equation. So go ahead and use your brackets here, please. And my question again is, what am I going to multiply to change my 7 into a 14? Well, it's just a simple 2. So let's go ahead and bring our first equation over exactly like we need to. As some of you are looking a little perplexed, why did I write a 2 there? Because when I do my distributive property, 2 multiplied by 7x, that is positive 14x. 2 multiplied by positive 5y is positive 10y. And that's going to be equal to, what do we got? Negative 28. So if you notice, we now have our x's that are going to eliminate. So we don't have to worry about those. I'm looking at the y's now. So what do I got? A 10y subtract a 7y is a 3y. And then being very careful here, we know that it is going to be a negative 28 and 7. The difference is going to be 21. So when I divide, and again, all of this solving part here is repeat for a few days. In fact, even repeat back months. Negative 7. So now that I have my first answer, again, I need to go ahead and look at the two original equations and decide what do I prefer to help me find my second answer, which would be the x. So looking at the original first and original second, which one should we choose and what's your reason why? So you should be thinking about that because, again, you want to have a reason behind it. So did you select the bottom equation? And is your reason because there are more positives than negatives? That's my thinking. So I'm going to go over here and write it as 7x. And it says a plus 5y, so it's going to be a plus 5. But my y, remember, is negative 7. And that's going to be equal to, back to the original equation, negative 14. So giving you a moment to go ahead and solve that. Again, try and work ahead of me on this part here. Adding 35 to both sides. So that's going to give me 7x is equal to positive 21. And when I divide, your x should be 3. So let's write our actual answer. I believe the answer should be on the bottom of the worksheet on the back if you are working ahead like some of you might end up doing. And if you wanted to, again, you could always do a quick mental check where x is 3. So you'd have to do negative 14 times 3. Might be a little bit work for some of you, but then you do a negative 7 multiplied by negative 7. Ultimately, it should come out nice and neat. But again, that checking process can save you some points later on. So again, first part should be warmed up a little bit. We only had to change one equation. Remember, on your worksheet, please circle the problems that we do. Then you know, again, those are done correctly. All right, let's try number 8. On the two next problems that we're going to be working with, we're going to have to change both equations. So what we want to do again is take a closer look at each variable. So I notice the x's are opposite. That's good news. The y's are the same. Not so good. I'm going to think about kind of like fractions, looking at your common denominator style. If a denominator is 2 and a denominator is 9, what can they both become? Thank you there. And then if you look at the 3 and the 10, they can both become obviously a simple 30. So you need to make a choice. What do you like better, the 18 or the 30? Well, we're going to say we like the 18 better because the number's a little bit smaller and they already have opposite signs. So if that's the case, I have to change both equations this time. Since they're already opposite signs, I'm not going to worry about any negatives outside the bracket. If I want an 18, some of you might be noticing, well, Mr. Moreno, you're just switching the numbers. That doesn't always work, though. So don't think about it that way. Think about it as 9 multiplied by 2 is an 18, specifically negative 18. 2 multiplied by 9 is a positive 18. So keep up your multiplication and your division skills. So now that we have decided how to change our equations, we're going to go ahead and actually use our distributive property. So if we multiply correctly, 9 multiplied by negative 2x is negative 18x. Again, you should have this skill already. 9 times 3y is a positive 27y. And 9 multiplied by negative 14, well, that's negative. And if you don't know it, you can do it in two parts. You can do mental math, or you can go to the side and do some elementary work. 9 multiplied by 10 is 90. 9 multiplied by 4 is 36. And if I put those two numbers together, a 90 and a 36, I get a 126. Or just do elementary multiplication without a calculator. All right, second equation, again, distributive property, positive 18x, positive 20y, and that is going to be equal to 32. My x's eliminate this time. My y's I'm going to combine to get a 47y. Then back here, we're going to go ahead and realize, okay, yes, it is going to stay negative because the 126 has the greater absolute value. And then some basic subtraction. 6 subtract 2 is 4. 12 subtract 3 is 9. We're going to do some quick division, and you'll have your answer. It's definitely negative. Be careful with the negative signs. So what is our value of y? Negative 2. In order to find x, again, we have to make a choice, student choice. What do you prefer, equation 1 or equation 2? Both can work. So again, it's not like if you do equation 1 and your partner does equation 2, you're going to get it wrong. If you do the correct work, you'll get the exact same answer. So why would we suggest equation 2? More positives. We like the more positives. But again, you could use the first equation. So I'm going to go to the side and I'm going to say 9x plus 10y, but y is negative 2. And that's going to be equal to 16. So go ahead and do your best there and solve for x. All right, so if you do it correctly, you would have a 9x subtract a 20 is equal to a 16. Again, solving equations. Some of you are really quick at this. All right, x is equal to 4. Put your answer together. Again, test-taking strategy would be to do the mental check, but for right now, if you're working ahead, again, you can just check the backside of the worksheet. All right, one more like this, and then we'll spend some time on the review problems on the back. Number 9, circle number 9, and think about what numbers we want. So the x's are both negative, the y's are both positive. So there's no clear choice based off the signs. What can my x's become if I have a 7 and a 9? No? Hey, 63, there we go. What can a 10 and an 8 become? Don't say 80, because there's something better than 80. 40. Now, if you did 80, it still works, but your numbers will ultimately be bigger than they need to be. So we're going to go ahead and choose the 40. So put your brackets on both. Now, if I want a 40, what is the 10 going to multiply by? 4. If I want a 40, what's the 8 going to multiply by? 5. But if I do that, it's still going to be both positive, and I don't want that. So one of these numbers has to have the negative sign. Now, it really doesn't matter. Student choice again. Most students, though, put it at the top. But again, it doesn't matter. If you put it at the -5 and your partner puts it at -4, you can still get it correct. All right, do your distributive property as we continue on. All right, let's see. You're working ahead. You should have a positive 28x. You should have a negative 40y. And your 8 is going to change into a negative 32. The bottom equation you multiply by positive 5, so that means you're going to have a negative 45x, a positive 40y, and a positive 100. So again, that's the new information in this section is what are you multiplying your equations by so that you can have it eliminate. The solving part, all of it's a repeat. The y's eliminate. My x, I know it's going to be negative because 45 has a greater absolute value. What's the difference between 45 and 28? So we have negative 17x. On the right side, it's going to be positive. Just do basic subtraction. What is 100 subtract 30 and subtract a 2? That should be a 6d8. Divide by negative 17. X is equal to, well, it's going to be negative 4. So now that I have my first answer again, I'm going to go ahead and compare the two equations and choose the better one. Now, if you notice, they're very similar. Only look at the original problem here. Negative 7x, negative 9x, pretty close. 10y, 8y, pretty close. 8 and 20, that's probably the main difference. Do we want to work with the first equation, or second equation? Probably the first one. But again, student choice, you could work with the second one if you want. So x is negative 4, so I'm going to write negative 7 multiplied by negative 4. It says plus 10y equals 8. So multiply. And continue on. Remember, if you're working ahead, check your answer at the back. See how awesome you are. What is 10y equal to? If I subtract, I should get a negative 20. Divide by 10. Y is negative 2. So on the front side again, you're really deciding, am I changing one equation or am I changing both equations? Then you're continuing to solve just like we've done on the coin problems, just like we've done on day 1, and so on. All right, turn to the back. We're going to go ahead and look at some review problems in connection to your quiz results, as well as just getting ready for your Chapter 5 test. Your Chapter 5 test is going to occur the Friday we come back from break. So we're going to have 4 days of good review to try and catch you up from your 2 weeks of no math. All right, on the back, number 11, if you notice, both of them are ready to graph. Our goal is to do the graphing method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2 colors. So if you want to use 2 colors again, you can, but you don't have to. My first line is ready to graph, so I'm just going to go ahead and simply label it on my worksheet as M1 and B1, which again is referring to line 1. Line 1, the slope is 5/4, which means it's going to be positive, and it's going to be a little steep because it's an improper fraction. And then my y-intercept, again, it's that back number there, so 0, -4. So on the space provided, you have a full coordinate plane. You should be able to get your 3 points, maybe even 4 points there. And again, remember, please connect them edge to edge. You're really going to have to know that for your test. So let's see, starting out at 0, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. My y-intercept. And then my slope tells me up 5, right 4. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again because you should have enough room. Up 5, right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you wanted to, you could even practice your backwards counting because that might be helpful later on. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left 1, 2, 3, 4. Take your straight edge, connect it edge to edge, please. And then when you're ready, go ahead and label it, please. Our equation again is y is equal to, maybe down here, 5/4x subtract 4. Now, if you haven't already done so, go back to your actual line 2. I'm going to switch colors. And line 2 is also ready to graph using slope-intercept form. So I'm going to say M2 and B2, because again, I'm referring to line 2. My slope is going to be negative, so therefore it's going to go downhill. So that's -3/4. And my y-intercept is going to be 0, 4. So when you're ready, go ahead and start your plotting. Same coordinate plane. You're looking for them to graph. And for those of you working ahead, you should have definitely the 2 lines intersecting. So starting at 0, 4, that's no left or right. That's up 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it says down 3, right 4. Down 1, 2, 3. Ah, 1, 2. Very nice. Down 1, 2, 3. Right 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, point of intersection is clearly identified. Connect it edge to edge. Quick label. Point of intersection right here. Later on in the year, before we send you off to high school, we're going to be doing some advanced graphing that all the skills are based off of this. We just need to teach you one additional piece. So again, if you can retain these graphing skills, it's going to help you out a lot in high school. All right, confirm with your partner real quick. What do you see on your graph and my graph as the point of intersection? Did you say 4, 1 as the point of intersection? Everything should be good there. The actual point of intersection, that confuses you? The 4, 1 stands for the actual location of the point of intersection. So that means if I start at my origin and I remember my directional counting back that I taught you in chapter 2, it's going to go to the right, which is right 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, which is why it's a positive 4. And then I go up 1 box, which is the positive 1. Left or right first, then up or down second. So for example, let's say it was over here. That would be left, then down. Always start from the origin. All right, let's go ahead and try number 14. Now, number 14 is the substitution method. And again, as we shared, many students did better on substitution method than graphing, which is kind of shocking to us, but in a good way. So we're going to go ahead and identify which variable is isolated. So if you notice on line 2, it says y equals. So we're going to go ahead and keep it as y equals and circle the 2x subtract 4. Go ahead and draw your arrow to the other line at the location for the y because it says y equals. So I'm going to go ahead and skip a line and put my new equation. It's going to be a negative 6x plus 3, but instead of y, that is my parentheses. And again, remember, whatever you circled, that's what goes inside your parentheses. So 2x subtract 4. Equal sign and a 6. I'm going to use my distributive property, combine like terms. Again, a lot of the skills from earlier in the year. Negative 6x stays the same. 3 times 2x is positive 6x. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12 equals 6. Oh, look at this. Negative 6x and positive 6x. That's really 0x, right? So it means they're gone. So I have it as negative 12 is equal to 6. What do you think? True or false? Definitely false. So slash out your equal sign. So what's the special answer? No solution. Now, if you think about back to our graphing idea, no solution, what type of lines would give you a no solution answer? Parallel lines. Excellent observation there. Now remember, if you actually found out, let's say like x equals 1, then you go back to the equation that you circled, substitute 1 for the x, and find your second answer. And again, many students did really well on substitution method for the quiz. All right, last one we're going to look at is graphing using the intercepts. Because we noticed that looking at some of our data, students are still struggling on the intercepts. So what I'm going to ask you to do is quick separation again. We're going to find the x-intercept, y is equal to 0. Y-intercept, x is equal to 0. And it may not even be finding the intercepts, because I was helping a student in first period. She found the x-intercept and y-intercept correctly, but she graphed it incorrectly, and we got to be really careful there. Speaking about the graph, if you read the instructions, what does it say when you're supposed to be graphing? Count by 2. Beautiful. All right, so the kind of abbreviated way, since we've been doing this quite a bit, is to take your finger or your pencil and cover up the y part. So if you do that, you would have 4x is equal to 24. So what is x equal to? 6. So what's our ordered pair? 6, 0 for our x-intercept. And if I do the same thinking for my y-intercept and I cover up the x part, be careful of the negative sign, what is y equal to? And again, we're only doing this because we've done it a bunch already. So what is y equal to? Negative 8, which is going to be 0, negative 8. Now, when you're ready, we are counting by 2 on the coordinate plane. So we're going to start off with x-intercept first, 6, 0. So if I count by 2, how many boxes do I need to move to the right? 2, 4, 6. I got to move 3 boxes. Beautiful. My y-intercept is negative 8, so I'm going to count down, but since I'm counting by 2, I'm going to move a total of 4 boxes. 2, 4, 6, 8. Really negative 8 because it's counting down. All right, take your straight edge to edge, arrows, equation, please. Now, if you were counting by 2, but you had an even number, where would you put your dot at? Let's say instead of a 6, it had a 5. Yeah, that would be like in between, which isn't as good, but it's better than somewhere else. We good on the intercepts idea? All right, last piece I just want to briefly mention is go to number 12, please, line 2. On number 12, line 2, your division will not work out nice and neat, so that means you cannot do the intercepts on 7x plus 2y equals 8. You would do your slope-intercept form instead. So put a little comment in the margin next to line 2. Write down, use slope-intercept form. That's the move the x, then divide steps, which would then have it look like line 1 and line 2 on problem 11, or it'll really look like line 1 on number 12. All right, your goal is to finish it up. All right, be awesome.